So there's only three things that we really need to do before this series is complete. The next one that we'll be doing is adding some pop-ups so that whenever we finish a wave it says wave completed on screen. The one after that will be giving us a camera blend target so that when the game finishes it'll pop out over there and we'll let your character kind of do a victory dance before restarting the game. And then finally we'll be packaging it for distribution. So let's get on with that. Now, to do the content for the HUD, we're going to go to our content browser, blueprints, and I'm going to go down to user interface and create a new widget blueprint. And I'm going to call this UI HUD. Now within UI HUD, this is actually not going to have anything in this situation apart from the wave completed message. If you want to, you're more than welcome to bind it to actual in-game variables and set up a more complete project. But in this situation, all I want to do is add in text that is going to be anchored to the center of the screen. I'm going to make the alignment 0.5 to 0.5 and set the positioning to 0, so we're dead in the center. I'm going to size the content and set this to around a font of about 60 or 70. I think 70 will do. And the text is just going to say wave completed in an excited way. So we've got wave completed, and I'm going to have this initially hidden. So I'm going to set the visibility to be hidden. Now, to have this pop up on screen, I'm simply going to add an animation, and this is going to be called wave completed pop-up anim. And for this, I'm going to first off name the wave completed to be wave comp text. I'm going to add this, and I'm going to add a visibility track as the first port of call. So initially, this is going to set it to visible, at which point at the end of the pop-up, which will be just 1 second long, I'll set it to hidden again. So we're visible and then hidden. As a quick touch, I'm going to add a track, and that's going to be a transform. I'm going to set the initial transform to have a scale of 1, which is the default. However, at the end, I'm also going to have it set to a scale of 1, so I'm just going to click the add scale, which will grab the default XY of 1. And over here, I'm going to add this again, add scale keyframe, which will add it to both channels. And the reason I'm doing this is so that we can do a really quick pop, which is around here. I'm going to set this value to 1.1, and I'm going to set this value also to 1.1, which means when we play it, it'll have a little bit of a pop when it comes on screen. Now that we've got our wave completed pop-up animation, I'm going to simply compile it, save it, and now I'm going to load the player controller. So within the player controller, we're going to have to add this to our viewport, and then when it's the right time, we'll play the animation itself. So on begin play, I'm going to tell it that I want to create a new widget, which will be our HUD. And it's just going to be UI HUD, which you can see here. So we're creating the widget, setting it to HUD, at which point I'm going to promote this to a variable because I want to store a reference to our HUD widget. So we now have a HUD widget stored. Now I'm going to add this to the viewport. And now the next step is going to require an additional event within our game mode. So I'm going to go content browser, game mode, and within here, whenever we spawn a new wave, so we call start new wave, I'm going to put in an event dispatcher here that lets anything else in the game know that it's time to create a new wave. So I'm going to add an event dispatcher that's called new wave. Drag this in, and I'm just going to call it at this time. Now the reason I'm doing this is that if I go to here, I can now get my game mode. I can check that it's the KG game mode, and assuming that it is, what we're going to do is we're going to bind to new wave, and make a custom event that is pop-up wave UI, which is simply going to call on the HUD widget, play animation, and it's going to look for an input animation. Now, your first thought might be to click on here, but that's not how this actually works. We need to get a reference to it from the HUD widget. So I'm going to drag down, and I'm just going to type in anim, and you'll see that we have get wave completed pop-up anim, which is the animation that I created. And now, when I connect this to here, everything is sorted. So, compile, save. I'm going to hit play now. And I'll just wait for an enemy to appear. So this first wave is only one person. Wave completed pops up, and the new wave spawns. And we're all set. That's all it took. So for our next section, we're going to be adding the final camera blend, at which point we'll add in the packaging settings, and that'll be all there is.